With my secret homemade fertilizer, I turned my uncle's 8 acres of salty land into premium ice sugar watermelons. I thought my uncle, who had just made 2 million yuan, would give me a 300,000 yuan cut. But right after he sent the buyers away, he said something shocking. Chen Feng, the numbers are done for this year. Take this 20,000 yuan and go find a job in the city. 2 stacks of cash sat alone on the table, with dozens of thick stacks right beside them. Looking at that 20,000 yuan, honestly, I had seen this coming. I spent the whole year sleeping in a busted melon shed, brewing organic fish meal fertilizer, smelling awful. My water control method was the only reason that field survived. I said nothing because my cousin Zhao Zhigang had already kicked the door open. He was carrying 2 big plastic buckets, looking smug as hell. It was a growth booster from some city boss. Spray it on the field, and the watermelons would grow a size bigger in 3 days. My cousin slammed the buckets down, looking at me with pure contempt. Chen Feng, your stinky, slow, old-school methods are outdated. You still want a 300,000 yuan cut? Are you broke and crazy? My dad leased the land. My family put up the money. You're just a hired hand. Giving you 20,000 is already generous. My uncle flicked his cigarette ash, his eyes full of greed. Feng, your cousin is right. Modern farming is all about technology. Your one vine, one melon method is just blocking our path to real money. Starting tomorrow, don't go back to the melon shed. I quietly stared at the father and son. I thought they were just simple, honest people. Turns out they were rotten to the core. I didn't argue or beg. I simply reached over, grabbed the 20,000 yuan from the corner of the table and tucked it away. Fine, I'll take the money. Now sign the liability waiver. I pulled a separation agreement from my old bag and slapped it on the table. From today on, whatever happens to those 8 acres of melons has nothing to do with me. My uncle and cousin exchanged a smile and gladly stamped their red thumbprints. I put the agreement away and turned toward the yard. My cousin was still mocking me from behind. Take your 20,000 yuan and get out of the village. Don't get in the way of us making big money. I stopped and said, those toxic melons you forced out with chemicals will rot in your own hands sooner or later. I pushed open the gate and went straight to the village office. That 20,000 yuan was enough for me to lease the abandoned rocky patch west of the village. My uncle not only took over the 8 acres of premium melon fields, he even threw out my bedding. All because he believed my cousin's nonsense, thinking those chemicals could really triple the yield. I carried my worn-out bedding, skipped my old mud brick house, and walked straight into the village office yard. The old village chief was drinking from an enamel mug. When he saw me, he froze. Feng, did your uncle really kick you out? I didn't answer. I slapped the 20,000 yuan right onto his desk. Chief, I want to lease the rocky patch west of the village. The old chief was so shocked he spit out a mouthful of tea. Are you crazy? That place is all pebbles and sand. Not even weeds can survive there. You throw 20,000 yuan into that land and you won't hear a single splash. My eyes stayed firm. I wasn't just leasing it. I wanted it for 10 years, and the 20,000 yuan would be the deposit. Seeing he couldn't talk me out of it, the chief sighed, took out a stamped contract, and I pressed my thumbprint on it. I walked out with the contract and the whole village had gathered outside to laugh at me. They had already heard that my uncle was going to triple his watermelon yield. Every one of them looked at me with mockery. Feng must have lost his mind after that blow. Growing watermelons on a rocky patch? He might as well starve. I ignored all the gossip, grabbed a torn woven sack and headed straight to the fish market in town. Under everyone's disgusted stares, I packed rotten fish gills and guts into the sack with my bare hands. To make that rocky land rich, I was willing to collect smelly waste every single day. What others saw as garbage, paired with the rocky patch's heat and drainage, could ferment into top-tier amino acid-based fertilizer. To hit the early market, my cousin sprayed ripening chemicals like crazy, making the whole village jealous. Everyone followed his lead. In my uncle's 8 acres, the watermelons swelled like balloons. After just 3 days of spraying, the vines were covered in green melons the size of basketballs. Seeing my uncle's family about to get rich, the whole village got restless and rushed to buy that miracle growth booster from him at high prices. For a while, every field in the village reeked of harsh chemical spray. Meanwhile, my rocky patch had only just started sprouting tiny shoots. At noon, the sun baked the rocks like a furnace. Shirtless in the heat, I pinched the shoots by hand in the sandy soil, sweat burning my eyes. Just then, a red electric scooter stopped by the road. My ex, Wang Yan, stepped down in high heels, covered her nose, and stared at my muddy body with disgust. Chen Feng, your uncle made over 100,000 yuan in one day. Look at you now, picking through trash in the middle of nowhere. I didn't stop working, because this was the key moment to pinch the melon seedlings. What, here to laugh at me? Wang Yan sneered. Not just to laugh, I'm here to call off the engagement. She threw the cheap gold engagement ring straight into the sand. I'd rather cry in your cousin's passenger seat than eat sand with you on this rocky wasteland. From now on, we're done. I glanced at the ring on the ground, calm as ever, then turned back and poured the stinking fertilizer around the melon roots. Honestly, a gold digger like her leaving early was a good thing. My uncle pre-sold his field of giant melons at a high price, and even shouted that the whole village should blacklist me. All because a big buyer from the city had taken interest in his swollen, fake-looking melons. Several black Mercedes pulled up by the road, and my cousin bowed and scraped as he led the big buyer into the field. Seeing the huge watermelons everywhere, their skins stretched bright green and shiny, the buyer was extremely pleased. This look is perfect. They're big enough. Once they hit the market, they'll sell for a great price. The big buyer immediately threw down a guaranteed purchase agreement and prepaid a 300,000 yuan deposit for all 8 acres. My uncle clutched the deposit, grinning so hard the wrinkles on his face bloomed. The whole village wanted in, all rushing to sign purchase agreements. My cousin took the contract and made a special detour to my rocky patch, standing on the ridge above me to show off. See that, Chen Feng? That's real money. Where are your melons? Why aren't they even fist-sized? I straightened up and wiped my sweat. I thought making money would shut them up, but they still came here looking for attention. The truth was, those chemical pump melons already had blackened stems, and the flesh inside had long rotted into a bag of water. Looking at his smug little face, I replied coldly, "Go ahead and enjoy a few more days. Once those melons ripen, you'll have plenty to cry about." My cousin flew into a rage and tried to come over to kick over my fertilizer bucket. Still talking tough? When this worthless rocky patch gives you nothing, I'll make sure you can't even find a place to beg. I stared him down. Then let's wait and see. The Weather Bureau suddenly issued an orange rainstorm warning, so I carried a hoe overnight and dug drainage ditches across the rocky patch. To protect the newly set ice sugar melons, I worked until blisters split open on my palms. My uncle and cousin stood on the field ridge. Instead of preparing for the flood, they laughed at me for wasting my time. My cousin bit down on a cigarette, his face full of disdain. "Chen Feng, this rocky patch can't hold water anyway, and you're still digging ditches?" Those few lousy melons of yours will dry out sooner or later. But premium sandy flesh watermelons fear flooding the most. The rocky patch drained naturally, so as long as I guided the water, it would be fine. To make his melons absorb more water and squeeze out more dirty money, my uncle actually had every drainage channel in his field sealed with mud. He thought that little trick would give him an advantage, but he had just destroyed all 8 acres with his own hands. He would rather trust chemicals than respect the rules of farming. The rainstorm lasted 3 straight days, and my uncle's 8 acres became a yellow mud pond. My cousin wanted to drain the field, but he couldn't even find the channels they had blocked. Those growth booster melons were already swelling abnormally inside. Soaking in stagnant water, they sucked it up like crazy. Their skin stretched paper thin. Meanwhile, my rocky patch sat low, but I had already dug diversion ditches. All those pebbles acted like a natural filter layer. The rainwater didn't pool up. Instead, it flowed through the cracks and carried the fertilizer straight into the melon roots. As soon as the sky cleared, my uncle squatted on the field ridge looking at the huge watermelons everywhere. He wasn't worried at all. He was proud. He would rather believe those deformed giant melons could sell for a fortune than look down and see the field was already rotting. He thought once the sun came out, he could harvest and get rich. But when the blazing sun hit, a dull sound came from the field. After the first explosion, all 8 acres instantly turned into hell. The waterlogged, deformed melons couldn't handle the pressure inside and started bursting one after another in the heat. Red, low-quality, unripe pulp spilled everywhere, attracting clouds of green flies and a sickening stench. My uncle and cousin collapsed in the mud, staring at rotten melons split open everywhere. They tried to piece the broken fruit together by hand, but only grabbed sour, foul juice. Just then, the city buyers arrived with refrigerated trucks.